So this is something that a lot of you have been asking for on the channel, and I'm delighted to say that the day has finally come to be looking at this brand new 2024 MG3 Hybrid Plus. Now this car's been out about 6 weeks. This car's registered 10 days ago, so you know I've done my best. Very blessed to be offered by a regular channel viewer called Stephen, who's MGZS Automatic. We filmed in this very location 4 years ago. So this is the trophy model. This car would have cost just over £21,000 as tested. The white model, which hasn't got metallic paint, you can get for about £20,495, I think. The range starts with the SE at £18,500, which is very competitive actually, considering this is a full hybrid or strong hybrid or standard hybrid or whatever you want to call it. I don't really like the word self-charging hybrid. I think it's a bit silly really, but I'm going to go for full hybrid. That's the one I'm going to use. Sorry about the vibration there, viewers. My radio unit is off on my phone. So the trophy model has keyless entry. Got the key already in my hand, so that's fine. We've got all sorts of things in here. We've got heated seats and heated steering wheel and adaptive cruise control, all sorts of amazing things, which we'll try to sort of go through. One thing that I can spot that is shared with the previous MG3 that was on sale from 2013 until early this year is the stalks. The stalks are pretty much the same. Now, they're using a lot of other MG models, but the MG3 was the first one to use them. Also here, we've got the mirror switch. That is off an MGZS and a facelifted MG3, the previous generation. And this rotary dial, I think, first appeared, or something like this, around the time of the MGZS EV, which came out in 2019. Got USB on the left-hand side and USB-C on the right. The USB port on the left is the thing that you have to use to have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. The previous MG3 actually lacked Android Auto right up until the end earlier this year, which was quite annoying because I've always had Android phones myself. Start button is here on the left. There we go, we've activated the car. I've just pressed it again to get more functions. As we can see, we've got two digital displays in this car. We've got, I think, a 7-inch display here, and that's a 10.25-inch one in the middle. I've actually got a link to the previous facelifted MG3 here with this sort of, I don't know, like checkered pattern on the dash. It's not a soft touch dash, I don't think. No, it's a hard dash, which is fine. I mean, this car is the cheapest type of full hybrid that you can buy in this country. The Renault Clio is the next cheapest, and that starts at £21,500. So £18,500 for the SE model is very good value indeed. One thing I don't particularly like about this car, it's the same with a lot of MGs, is that yes, you do get access to the climate controls. You can press them on this button here, but that's just to bring the menu up. So you have to make another step if you want to, for example, adjust the fan speed or adjust the temperature or something like that. You need to fiddle around a bit with it, which I don't really like that. I'm far more of an old-fashioned person than that. If we just go back, I think that's the home screen there. We can see we've got quite a few things on here. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, that's a full climate control, DAB radio, of course, navigation and some more. Move it to this side. You can configure some of these icons and move them around if you like. And binding vehicle is, I think that's to do with the iSmart app that you can get to access even more of the features. One thing I do like about this trophy model is the 360-degree camera. If we can actually, there we go. You can see we're actually at a place called Hartshill Hayes, and it's quite empty. I used to do a lot of filming around here back in the early days of the channel, and it really weirdly. This is a red car, as you can see on that one, but it's it's actually showing as white, and we've got bits of a red car on that camera on the right hand side. But there we go. Anyway, let's go back to the home screen. Yeah, it's okay, I suppose. You know, it's not the fastest thing I've ever used. Let's try vehicle and see what other settings we've got on here. So we can actually have regen braking on this car. We have low, medium and high. Personally, I would always set that to high. Whenever I'm driving an electric car or a hybrid car, I have that on high. It's just my personal preference. MG Pilot is what they call the suite of these safety features the car has. Intelligent drive, I'm just going to leave that in whatever mode that it is. I don't quite understand what it is. I think it's to do with adaptive cruise control, which is ACC, and then you can set a speed limit. I'm just going to leave it in whatever ICA means. You can have intelligence, overspeed alert, overspeed audible warning. I would just turn most of these off. Speed limit change, audible warning. I'd probably turn most of those off if it were me. Convenience, we've got function on the steering wheel. Now you can change the buttons on here. You can see that button activates 63 km/h in this particular car. You can change that to whatever you want. I personally would try to actually put that on the heating ventilation if I could. And a right hand button on here, little star, configurable one. In this car, it's set to vehicle control. It's got power fob mirrors. Unlock the call the key, all doors, driver's door. You can set that if you really want, which is the key on here. We've got actually multiple keys on here. This key here is the one that you'll be using. It's same for many other MGs over the last 5 years that have keyless entry. And then we've got safety features, passenger airbag on and off. That's just peculiar, isn't it? Just that. You can have follow behind headlights and auto high beam and all sorts of things. Driving, what does that say? Oh yeah, that's just the one before. I'm just going to take a pause here and we'll take a look at one of the other menus, which is the settings menu. So we got things like temperature control display brightness and instrument brightness and things like that. One thing that I must say is that the driving modes, this car does have driving modes, it's eco, normal and sport. My button is down here. I prefer a lot more buttons. I'd like buttons, for example, for the heated steering wheel. I'd like buttons for the heated seats and things like that, but you can't get them and you just have to do this. And you can see there are icons here for the heated steering wheel and those are for the heated seats. But, you know, a lot of cars are like this. It's a shame that most MGs, this is the way they've gone. So we'll, I think, leave that, 'cause we've covered most of the features on there. There is actually an integrated user manual on here as well. And again, you can move the climate controller around and things like that. But we're going to go on to this screen here. Now, it says normal driving mode. I would think I'd probably drive this car in eco. It's quite fast, this car. 0 to 60 is about 7.7 seconds, which is worlds away from the old model, which only ever had one powertrain option, a 105 brake horsepower, a 1.5 litre four-cylinder, which 0 to 60 in about 10.5 seconds. 7.7 is really, really quick. So it's quite small, but you can see we've got the regen braking in level 3. We've got a normal driving mode. The speedometer is there. There's the engine temperature gauge, which is absolutely tiny. And then some other warning lights because we haven't started the car yet. That's it. Oh my gosh, that's confusing. So at one point this does the audio, and at some points it does this. That's really annoying. So power information, energy flow, accumulated total. From there's the sort of trip menu. If you go accumulated total, you see what the mileage of this car is, which I don't think is an awful lot. Yeah, 358 miles, and it's 5.2 miles today. That's pretty crazy. Let's put it back into neutral, or sorry, park. Now we've got an automatic handbrake, which I sort of hate in a lot of cars, but because this is a full hybrid with an automatic gearbox, it's not too bad. That's for hill hold, and there's the driving modes. So you can cycle between sport, it goes red, eco, which is green, and then normal, which is blue. One thing you can't do is hold EV on or anything like that. You can't do anything like that. You can change the regen braking, but you absolutely cannot say, you know, I want the car in hybrid mode, I want the car in EV. It just does it itself, which is annoying. That's pretty annoying. Also, I think this catch is off the previous MG3. One thing that doesn't feel is particularly high quality. Some things feel really nice, like this bit of the dash does. This bit of the dash does. And actually the stalks are okay. The steering wheel's out of an MG4, and I think actually that's pretty nice. I don't know why they didn't change the indicator stalks and things like that for MG4 items, but there we go. And the interior door handles look very similar to the previous MG3 as well. There are the lock buttons on here. It's flat bottom steering wheel. one thing I would have liked to have seen is, rather than having orange stitching, which I've got on here, which is fine, I would have preferred red stitching, like on the previous generation pre-facelift MG3. We did own one of those. It was 2014. We owned it from 2016 to 2020. So I am quite experienced with, MG3s. I've driven 2 post-facelift ones as well. And in 2021, I had one of those on test for an entire week. Having had one on test in 2019 as well, so I do know these cars quite well in the past. This one though is a bit of a departure, so I think what we'll do, we'll just pause a second. I'm just going to turn it off just so we don't waste any electricity or any fuel. Okay, so we get round the back. Boot opens normally, which I'm actually quite relieved about. Oh, we've got an LED boot light. One thing that's surprising about this car is that there's not much more room in the boot. It's only about 7 litres or something like that, compared with the previous MG3, which was 285 litres, which was 293, so it's actually 8 litres. One thing you can't get, I'm going to have to just move some of this stuff out of the way and show you, is a spare wheel. I'll show you why. You can see here we've got the tyre inflation kit that I believe at the moment is the only thing that's available. I would love to have a normal spare in here. It might fit a space saver, but I just don't know. In the previous MG3, the tyre inflation kit was standard, and I think you could throw a spare wheel in from something like Rover 25 or something like that, but not entirely sure. So we'll look at the sort of back. We'll just close the boot. It's a little bit tight in here, but there we go. I think the back of it, and Steve and I have just had a conversation about this, and I agree. The back is nice. The back looks really good. I'm just not sure about the front. I'm not sure about the look of the car from the front. I think the wheels are okay. They're quite similar to the previous exclusive nav top of the range MG3. I just don't know about the front. I'm just not sure about it. The grille is just absolutely huge, like it is on a lot of cars, particularly BMWs. I suppose I'll get used to it. I mean, the car's only been out 6 weeks or so, so maybe it just takes a bit of time. But, there we go. Right, I'm going to sit in the back as well. We'll just see what that's like. Right. So you've got some friends in here, including a little Morris bear in there. Now, obviously I know how much space there used to be in the previous MG3. I owned a 2014, Stephen owned a 2016. Previous generation car as well, so we're both very familiar with them. We both owned quite high specification ones. His was like a style nav or style plus, mine was just a style, and that had red stitching, but on his one it had the leather seat option. This is not real leather, this is Artico leather, or leatherette, I think MG call it. It's all right. There's actually a fair bit of room in here. It's absolutely fine for a car that's relatively small. You don't get full leatherette, you do get the inserts with the cloth, but it's okay. It's quite dark in here, that's the only thing, and you can see we've got a little light in here, which is supposed to be, I think, for the rear, because not only have we got the privacy glass in this trophy trim, also we've got a really dark headlining and no courtesy lights in here. MG are quite notorious for doing this. The ZS is like this as well. You don't get rear courtesy lights. So even if I open the door, it's still really dark in here, and those aren't LED bulbs either. So he's fitted this to sort of help hopefully be able to see at night a bit better. One thing I do like though is we've got these really big rear door bins. Now I don't think the facelifted MG3 previously had them. The pre-facelift ones did. So that's good to see them reinstated. We've also got mat pockets on both sides, which is excellent. The one thing I've noticed straight away, and we didn't comment on this rear seat does not split. It only comes down as one entire bench, which is sort of really annoying. It's the kind of thing you'd expect to see on a base model Fiesta in the 1980s, not on a car in 2024 that costs over £20,000 and is the top of the range model. That is quite an oversight, actually, in my opinion. But, there we go. Also, the door aperture is a little bit narrower than I thought it would be. So once you're fine in there, it's fine. I mean, I'm just under 6 foot, about 5'11". It's okay. One other thing I found that's a little bit peculiar about this car, and it's the same on the petrol ZS and HS models, I think, is if you open driver's door and you want to open up the bonnet or the fuel flap, you'll see that the releases are right next to each other, and so you've got to be quite careful you pull the right one, otherwise you can go to fill the car up and accidentally release the bonnet, which I suppose you'd get used to that, but there we go. There's also no electric adjustment on the driver's seat, and there's no reach adjustment on the steering wheel, which is the kind of thing I'd like to see, but for the sort of money that you're paying for this car, and you get a 7-year, 80,000 mile warranty, perhaps I shouldn't be complaining. Right, what I think we'll do now is we'll just go out for a little drive, actually. One thing I have forgotten about is this tray. So if we move this and... oh, gosh. A lot of people have commented on just how flimsy this sort of feels, and I've been entitled to agree with them. That doesn't feel particularly good. Be very careful you don't break that. There are some cup holders in there as well, and there's some cup holders there, which is good. Right, I suppose you'd better go out for a little spin. So what's this new generation MG3 Hybrid Plus like to drive? Well, immediately it feels a lot quieter than the previous version. That engine was quite refined at sort of, you know, low speeds and things, but it also was quite noisy when you went faster. This feels altogether more serene, much more advanced. Now it's not surprising because the MG3 was launched initially in this country in 2013, and in some markets even earlier than that. And this, you know, having benefited more than 10 years of technological development, you'd expect a lot more sort of refinement and things like that, and you do get it. One thing is, this car is considerably bigger in terms of its feel than the previous generation car. Also, it doesn't ride as firmly. The previous one rode very firmly and had beautifully weighted hydraulic power steering, which of course has long gone from most cars. This one has an electric steering system, and in eco mode the steering's really light. I'm just going to actually adjust steering mode to sport and just see if that makes a difference. Yeah, that weights the steering up considerably. Now I'm not going to be getting the most kind of fuel efficient experience for D. That's just put it back into eco mode, and then we'll be getting anywhere up to the claimed average MPG of 64.2. Stephen says he's had 65 miles per gallon out of this. Now, there was a test done recently, I think it was by What Car, of this versus the Suzuki Swift, the new generation Suzuki Swift, and actually that ends up being more economical, but because that's got a 5-speed manual gearbox in it, I think you'd understand why that could possibly be, particularly if you're doing lots of motorway miles. Now, the Suzuki Swift and this started about the same price. The Swift starts at, I think, 18,700, and this starts at 18,500. But the Swift is a mild hybrid. It's not a full hybrid like this. And in some cases in this car, you'd be running on EV power alone. Now, you can't make the car just run in the EV mode. Even in this eco mode, it switches automatically between the hybrid and the EV mode depending on how it feels. But you know, it's there. Weirdly, this car's only got a 3-speed automatic gearbox. It's something like a Vauxhall Chevette used to have one of those, but it doesn't seem too bad. A little bit intrusive in terms of, you know, what it's going to do in terms of the engine kicking in and things, but actually the ride's quite compliant. 0 to 60 in this car is about 7.7 seconds, which is absolutely crazy in comparison with the previous car. It's got 192 horsepower, which is, it's mad. The previous one was 105, I think, actually. So we'll just accelerate quickly out of this junction here and see how we go. Oh, it's just not troubled at all. I mean, we're in the eco mode, and Stephen and I were actually talking about this earlier. We don't think in this car that there's necessarily a connection between the sort of speed you're doing and you know, the work of the engine, more as like a generator possibly. So, you know, the revs will be sort of rising and falling randomly. It's like a CVT gearbox and that sort of thing. So this isn't the cheapest, particularly on the market by any means anymore. It never was really. With the Dacia Sandero, the MG3 came out the same year. They both came out in 2013, and the Sandero always was a bit cheaper. But if you bought the very, very rare 3-time model in 2013, then it cost, I think, 8,499 or something. The higher specification car without leather seats was the Style, and that was only 9,999 on the road. Whereas this is far more expensive, it's more than twice the price. But of course, we've had inflation and things, and this is just a lot better equipped. You can get cheaper versions of other cars like the Vauxhall Corsa for a bit less money, but you don't get all this equipment. Renault Clio is sort of in some ways the closest thing to this, and that starts at £21,500 for the basic hybrid model in the lowest trim. But that's still £1,000 more than this in the top spectrum, and this really just does have absolutely everything you could possibly imagine. It's even got things like rear cross traffic alert and blind spot detection and things like that. It seems very good value to me. One thing I must do at some point is drive the brand new Swift that's come out. I know Mr. Quirt from Planet Auto has driven one of those, and he hasn't driven one of these yet, actually. I think we need to sort of reverse that and sort of switch it round so we actually kind of experience both cars, because I would like to do that. I quite like manual gearboxes in cars, and Stephen's got an MGF with a manual gearbox, and those are known for being really nice cars to drive. So because this only has this automatic in it, and it has only got this hybrid powertrain for now, I gather that there is another model on the way at some point which will have just the 1.5 engine. Whether this is the 1.5 engine from the previous car or not, I've not been able to work out, because it's suspiciously similar. The power output is 102 horsepower, and it's a 1.5 four-cylinder like the previous car was. Whether that's the same, I don't really know, but I'll have to ask about that at some point. The electric motor, it's a 100 kilowatt motor. It does have a power output of 134 horsepower. Why, full hybrids like this, or standard hybrids, or strong hybrids, or whatever you want to call them, have a combined power output of a certain amount, and then they have a different sort of individual breakdown of power? I don't know. So 102 horsepower plus 134 horsepower should equal like 236 horsepower, but it doesn't. It equals 192. Why that is, I don't know. No one's ever been able to explain that to me, but there you go. The battery on this, which you can use for the Evo and other things, it's actually only 1.83 kilowatt hours. Not a lot. And that means that now we're in Evo mode. We're just driving through a little village here. It's running on full EV, which is good. I've got the regen brake level set to maximum. The only thing is, every single time you turn on this car, the radio tends to come on, and also if you want to have if you want to have the full regen on, you can't have it. The regen defaults to 2 automatically. The brakes obviously are very good. A car was just on the wrong side of the road there, going through a junction, and the car stopped really, really well. So it feels really safe. And obviously it hasn't been tested yet by Euro NCAP or anything like that. I imagine they'll be aiming for the full 5 stars. The previous MG3 lacked so much of this equipment. It was, in some ways, quite a nice car, because it had a really nice exhaust note when you sort of revved it quite hard, and also the steering and handling were very good. But the interior did not feel as nice as this. This isn't the most luxurious feeling interior ever, and that little tray down there is a bit of a disgrace, to be honest. But for the sort of money that cars now cost, I think this is actually quite competitive. I'm not necessarily sure if I'd rush into a showroom and buy one immediately. I mean, my lady wife wouldn't let me anyway, but I do sort of quite like it, but I need to try some other things like the current generation Renault Clio and the Swift, the most obvious competitors to me, to be sure. Things like the Mazda 2 Hybrid and the Toyota Yaris cost considerably more than this, even in the most basic form. So, it's up to you sort of what you want, and this hasn't been a full review. It's just been a quick sort of little look at this car, because I wanted to get one on the channel as quickly as I could. So at some point in the future, hopefully we can get one for a longer period of time and and see what it's like. But that's most of it for now. So viewers, I didn't really drive it particularly hard. We did have a kind of potential acceleration. It does feel just very, very, very kind of fuss-free and very quick, like a lot of these full hybrids are. But it doesn't have the same immediacy or sort of sporty feel as the previous MG3 had, even though that was far less powerful than this and much less advanced. But it depends what you want, really, doesn't it? Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again very soon for more kind of last minute and exciting videos.